Hi guys, today we're talking about how to prevent running injuries. I'm going to talk to you about 3 of the top, most well-researched ways to reduce the risk of injury. And they're not stretching and they're not buying new trainers. They're the 2 most common kind of things that are banded around, and they're kind of myths because when we look at the research, it's not very good in terms of how that can help you reduce your risk of injury. So first one is strength and conditioning. Now runners generally, by and large, know they should be doing a little bit of strength and conditioning, but it's often something they neglect. I had a patient who I worked with for quite a while, and he'd had shin pain for 2 years, and each time it had kind of settled down, it would come back, and he was just caught in the cycle of just kind of keep coming back, and it was really frustrating. He was trying new trainers, he was massaging his shins, doing all sorts of acupuncture things to settle the symptoms down, but didn't really stop the problem coming back. When we look at the research with shin pain, there was a study that showed that those who do more than 30 bent knee calf raises, single leg, showed that it was protective against recurrence of shin pain. So that was what we did with him, along with lots of other things. We did some shockwave treatment, we did some retraining of his running style, but we got him to a point where he could do 30 bent knee calf raises single leg. And that was 6 months ago. He's done his first marathon since then, hasn't had any issues. And that was the real crux, the real reason why I think that he managed to get to a point where he didn't come back. There's lots and lots of research to back it up. Calf raises, calf strength, hamstring strength, glute strength, quad strength are all really, really important. So once or twice per week, you need to be doing that kind of thing if you want to boost your performance, certainly reduce the risk of injury. The second thing is sleep. It's the first thing that someone is going to put to the bottom of their priority list if they're busy. If we've got a busy social life, if we've got family life, we've got work life, that extra hour that you maybe get up earlier to go to work or to do things, or maybe go to bed a bit later, is going to be the thing that makes the risk of injury a little bit higher for a runner like that. Because there was a lady we worked with who was a night worker, and she'd been to physio, had a course of physio before, it hadn't worked. To us, that was the reason why it didn't work, because the physio who did all the right treatments didn't take into consideration the fact that she wasn't sleeping as much, and the return to running schedule that was being chosen didn't reflect that. So if you're in a position where you literally can't get any more sleep, then we need to think about how that affects your training schedule. So for her, we just increased her running mileage much, much slower than we would do normally. And that was what gave her the result, basically. So people like Cristiano Ronaldo, he's famous for sleeping 10 hours per day. That was how he was able to have such a long career, not really have many injuries. Players, obviously, at the highest level, that was one of the big factors. And it's seen as one of the most impactful performance-enhancing habits, extra sleep, basically. So it's easier said than done. I'll be honest, adding an extra hour into your sleep is very difficult sometimes, but it is possible if you're really serious about reducing your risk of injury. And obviously, I'm talking about if you already sleep 8 hours and trying to get 9. If you're getting 7 or 6 or less, you definitely need to be getting extra sleep, basically. And the last one is your training schedule. Having a training schedule that reflects your ability. Now, there's some kind of fail-safe rules that we might look at. The 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the week is low and slow, 20% might be more intense. Tapering weeks are important. Every 4th to 5th week, we might be looking at how we can put a week in where you're doing 50% less that week, so that the following training block, you've got fresher legs, you're able to push yourself a bit harder, but overuse injuries tend to reduce because things have been able to settle down. There was someone we worked with who overvalued intensity because he wanted to beat his PB and undervalued slow running. And as soon as I explained to him, the reason why zone 2 running and training is good is because the stroke volume in your heart is bigger. So your heart is able to kind of pump more blood per kind of beat compared to when you're doing really intense training where it's almost just flicking. Therefore, the strength benefits for your heart are much greater. He could fully kind of understand and grasp it. Did he start doing more zone 2 training? Still did the intense work, but not as much. To be honest, that was the only thing we changed for him. Strength and conditioning wasn't an issue for him. He was running really nicely, lots of recovery, good recovery and rest, but the training schedules were just all over the place. Similarly, in the AFL, Australian Football League, where they're jumping up and sprinting around pitches for 80, 90 minutes on match day, when I worked with a few players, they would say that they would cross-train, only cross-train during the week. No running, just to completely cut out all of the intensity. It's important to kind of bear in mind what demands you have and what time you have, what pressure you have if you've got race and things like that, and your ability, lots of other intrinsic factors. So working with a running coach, working with a running physio is going to be the safest way to kind of get that right, really. There's lots of different factors that are be considered. So they're the top 3 ways that you can help prevent injury. I haven't touched on nutrition. That's something that I'm going to talk about in another video. But I do think that those three that I've mentioned are probably going to have a bigger impact. So thanks for watching. Leave any questions in the comments box. I'd love to help. Thanks for watching.